and you can tell because like if you feel yourself all of a sudden just moving in autopilot, then you know something's wrong. If you ever find yourself just waking up, okay, let's go.
Going through the motion.
Just going, do your thing. And then you realize your body is just reacting instead of expressing itself. Then you know what? Maybe I need to change something.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Like maybe something is missing from this entire experience.
This is the Unmastered Podcast.
Welcome back, Unmastered Podcast. Number, it doesn't matter.
Who knows?
Because they release whenever.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
Okay, we have a bunch of backlogs, so be ready for them all. Dude, we got like a whole month.
Yeah, we do. We've been working hard on the pod, man. Like, we just hit 20K on TikTok. It's been good,
We have a special thing also that we have to release too. Show people.
What, man?
The reaction.
Oh, we got a reaction. Yeah, we'll probably do an episode for that. But that's just a little teaser.
Yeah,
we don't know exactly
what
we're talking about.
Some of you maybe know, but other than that, we got a new guest with us.
Hello.
He goes by many names.
Yes,
what would you like to be called today?
All right, today, out of all days, let's be called Talent. All right, that is my creative name, as people like to say. But yeah.
And so where did that come from? Where did you...
Well, the name...
I think I read something one time, like you had a website.
Yeah.
And it had a whole thing on
why. So basically, that name started back in like high school because like people would always call me Dante when my name is like my biological name is DeAndre. So they always call me Dante, Dondre, all these fucking things. Sorry, I don't know if you're allowed to curse.
No.
But yeah, all these different things. And I'm like, yo, what? It's DeAndre. D, literally, D, apostrophe, Andre. It's fairly easy to think, I thought, but I'm like, whatever. So I'm like, all right, just call me Talent because everyone will always be saying like, oh, you're so talented this, you're so talented that. So I'm like, oh, okay, you know what? Just call me Talent. Because if that's so easy for y'all to remember, then just call me Talent. That way it's like the less, like out of everything, you can't mess up talent. Like, what are you going to say? Talante? Like, Like,
that's kind of fire,
because even, actually, my girl actually calls me that. She only goes, yo, Talante. And I'm like, oh my God. But because like even my middle name, people mess up because like I go by my middle name as well, Kevon. But like some people literally, like I write it out in a text. I'm like, yo, it's Kevon. People go, oh, hi, Kevin. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, my name isn't, I'm not typoing my name. You're typoing my name. Like
it's like Aaron.
Exactly.
What about how at work, I work at Tim Hortons, by the way. So,
okay.
Tim Hortons, they call me John, just for short, because not John Luca, whatever, on the floor, you're working, you got to be fast. But it annoys me now. Like this one person just keeps calling me John. I'm like, why the fuck did I let this happen?
Yeah, because like, it's kind of like, yo, my name is my name. So like sometimes like you don't want your name always to be like shorted down or like traded out for something else. You just want to be called your name, Like for a while I wanted to be called literally just DeAndre. And then everyone would be calling me, oh, hey, D, or hey, Dre. And I'm like, bro, it's DeAndre. It ain't even that hard,
Yeah,
dead ass. Like
the short forms. What about that one time when we had Mr. DeChico as our teacher?
And
I was like, no.
Mr. DeCiso.
Oh, that too. But no, what about when he was like, so what's your name? And I was like, John Luca. And then someone like laughed or whatever. I don't know, this whole thing. He's like, hey, it's a good Italian name. He's like, you got to be called by your name. Don't let them call you anything else. And that's why now I haven't learned from that. And just let people go, no, you can't call me that. It's John Luca. Fuck you. Is that what I have to do?
That's literally what we gotta do.
Tulio Films though, like, is it still Films?
Oh yeah, the films comes with the Tulio Films. Yeah.
Wait, another thing is, are you ever gonna take that hat off?
No, it never comes off. I don't even go to US.
This guy's been wearing this hat every single episode. I think for the last like 4.
But that's just because bad hair days,
So, I don't think I've actually ever seen your
no one has
actual
take it out. We need a hair reveal. Oh, that's
Holy
luscious.
shit.
Okay, we'll take it off.
This luscious little up.
Some days it's good, but some days it's not.
Oh, yeah, well, I think you just gotta keep it out like that, man. I think that'll give
just
people
put that
like
back on. It's fine.
In the comments.
Oh my god, it's good for the TikTok clips.
What about some guy said you look like Tyler Sagan in the comments?
Oh my god, nah.
The hockey player?
Nah, forget about that.
You look like a bunch of people, I feel. Like you got like that look,
Where I look like a bunch of people?
Yeah, like I don't know if that's true.
What do I look like? Down in the comments. Comment down below. But anyways, we're going off the rails already. We just started the pod. Let's get into it. Let's get into the reason why you're here.
Of course.
You're a filmmaker, a creative. You're doing a bunch of different things. Like every day, I don't know, not every day, but every couple months, you have something new that you're working on.
Yeah.
Right? You got that Safe Haven mag too.
Yeah.
That's why I started. So we'll talk about all that. But what do you want to start with? What do you?
Let's start with the
We can start with
main
blending.
thing. Yeah, blending,
yeah.
So like blending essentially is like so it's my feature film, my motion picture. It originally started off as a web series, also named Blending. And essentially I shot it here with John Luca as well. We shot that last summer. And it was great. It was a whole experience. Like it had a lot of ups and downs, like a lot of ups and downs. Like John Luca can testify to that. There's a lot of stuff that happened. But yeah, we pushed through and we actually finally we finished it. And it's like after when it was finished, when I finished editing and I put it out and stuff, I was looking at it and like to keep it super frank, I was like, damn, this is hella trash. And I'm like, this can be way better. But the reason it wasn't better is because of like so much other shit that like a lot of people don't even know about. Like there's like a whole fallout with me and the cast mid-shoot and all that stuff. There's like a whole thing with like some members literally just dropping out mid-shoot. Like I remember that one day, that one guy literally came and then just literally just left. Like he came for like, he was there for a good like hour at best. And then out of nowhere, he literally just disappeared. He came, like I walked past him because we're shooting in the forest, right? We're shooting one of the scenes. And then I see him and I'm like, oh, yo, bro. So, okay, I'm gonna go I just grabbed him the jacket because he had to put on a jacket for the character, right? I'm like, oh, here's a jacket. And he's like, oh, no, hold on. I'm just gonna go to my car and grab some water and something to eat and I'll be right back. And I'm like, okay, but you didn't know we have stuff on set. It's like, oh, no, it's fine. I'm like, all right. He walks off. I'm like, okay. And then he goes, I went back and back to set and I'm waiting. We finished setting up. I'm like, all right. So, where is, what's his name? I don't really want to say his name because F him, you know? And then you're like, oh, yeah, we just saw him just drive off. I'm like, what? It's like, yeah, he drove off. He said he had to make a phone call. So I'm like, what do you mean he just gone? He's gone. I call him and then his voice machine, I get his voice machine. And then all I hear is like, yo, what's up, man? And I'm like, oh, hey, yo, are you coming back to set? Hi, you just caught me, man. Yo, so, reach the number of the beep. And I'm like, this motherfucker. There is no fucking way. And I'm like, no. I call him again. Same thing. Call him again. Same thing. I'm like, do not tell me this man just trolled me. This man showed up to set, read through lines with all the characters, got briefed, got mic'd up and everything. Then when I went to the car to grab my jacket and come back, he goes, hops in his car and drives off. Didn't come back for the rest of the day.
Wow.
And I'm like, damn. Okay, well, we're now an hour and a half behind, so we're gonna have to figure this shit out. So I had to like switch the characters around and just like literally remake the story on the spot. Because like we already shot like scenes earlier for the film that basically like connected the scene. And we don't really have a lot of time to like reshoot that. So we're like, okay, we're just gonna have to figure this shit out. So that's why like a lot of scenes I had to like literally fucking destroy and rebuild just so it makes sense. But yeah, that's why you can't trust anybody.
No, it was weird, man. It was weird because he just came and then like I don't even think it was even an hour. It didn't even feel like that.
Yeah,
I thought it was like there for 5 minutes and then just left.
Maybe it was shorter, yeah. Because he was only really there.
And then that's it. Like, did you even find out? Like, what he did. It's a mystery. You know?
He never responded. He disappeared. He literally, like, that was the last moment I ever heard from him. Like, literally. Like,
wow, that's so weird. Why would he just come and put himself through all that, like getting set up, reading the script?
Yeah.
Did he want to like steal the idea or something? Or, like,
I don't know. Like, why would you? How can you even steal an idea that you already filmed? Like, we're already filming it, so it's like, oh, okay, I like this. Cool. It's almost like he just came for the experience of what set will be like, so he can tell his friends, like, yo, I've been on set before.
Yeah.
Like, it was the weirdest shit, man.
That's so weird. Like at that point, just do the damn film. Like, what are you doing? Like,
I don't know why. Like,
put himself through so much. Maybe he had like a panic attack or something.
There's too many lines.
Like,
do this.
And it was crazy because I swear he had like only like 4 or 5 lines the entire time too.
Just that's it, eh?
Yeah. So, yeah.
And he was just a guy you got like randomly. You didn't know him personally.
No. Like I got him from like the acting website, and then He literally auditioned for me and everything. I'm like, all right, cool. So like it's a last minute thing too. I'm like, all right, I really need this actor because like this one actor is like so hard to get for some reason. Finally got him. I'm like, finally, all right, good. Just saved this huge part of the production just for him to do all that shit. I'm like, damn. All right.
Yeah. People can be weird, man.
Yeah.
They just flop on you and stuff, and like you don't know until you actually meet them how they are, right?
Exactly. That's why I now like have to develop a plan A, B, C, D, and
Oh,
E.
dude, like
man.
man, we're experiencing it with the podcast. Like, there's so many things behind the scenes that like have just gone wrong that we have somehow pulled off to make this all work out. Like, they have no idea that like sometimes like there's a future episode where the entire audio for someone's mic is just awful. But we're gonna make it so that it looks good, but like no one's gonna even realize it. But like those are the little things that go behind the scenes. And like I think with creatives, there's so many things that people don't understand that go into it. Like the haters you get behind the scenes, the technical issues with the people you're working with, all that stuff makes it like a really tough industry to work in.
Yeah.
You know? And you can definitely attest to it because like that guy just left on the set.
Yeah. Like honestly, I feel that 100%. Like you honestly have to always stay on your toes. Like I remember literally even right before we started shooting the first day, a main location for like the house scenes got flopped. They're like literally the day before, they're like, no, we don't want, no, you can't use it anymore. So I'm like, okay, gonna figure this out quick. All right, let's shoot here now. Because we had originally 2 houses, but now I had to make it all into 1 house because of that. But like that's just
like
how
it's
shit
just
moves.
how it
You know?
is.
But it's always like they flop like you said, like the day before. Like it can never be like they give you something
exactly.
in advance. Like it's and then you're like, oh shit, I have like a day to figure something else out. Or,
As a filmmaker, you have to expect like something's gonna go wrong every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can never really think your production's going to actually go exactly as planned, ever.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, always have to plan for like almost everything going wrong.
But I think you did like a good job of like dealing with all that stuff, you know.
Thank you.
And like you were very like planned out with everything.
Yeah.
Throughout the whole shoot.
I tried to be. And it was funny because like I'm not going to say who, but like one of the members of the cast basically like hit me up like the day before our last shoot day. And they're like called me up and I'm like, I just finished doing the casting call for basically the whole production for the rest of the shoot days. Because I actually had 3 other shoot days after that shoot day. But I'm like, you know what? Those don't actually matter as much of what I want. So we're not going to worry about those ones. So we're going to focus on this one here. So I sat down with my AD and we went through the whole thing. It took us like 2 hours just to reorganize like the entire structure of the entire story, basically, and for it to actually make sense for the rest of the production. And then I got a call from one of the members, and I'm like, oh yeah, what's up? And then it's like a very passive aggressive kind of thing, like, so what are you doing, bro? And I'm like, I'm I'm organizing the shoot days so we can do X, Y, and Z, And it's like, oh, cool. So blah, blah, blah. And basically it's like went on to say like, oh, this person's not fucking with what you're doing. Like the way you're doing your planning is everything is all over the place and all that stuff. I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right. Sure, you can take it that way. Or you can look at it as more of like, shit keeps going wrong and it's not like I can plan 2-3 steps ahead when I don't know if that step is actually going to come or not. So like he went on for like a good hour with like this whole rant of like basically of like what he was feeling, which I understood. It's a lot of pressure for everyone, but I just don't think I should be the vessel for that pressure. But I'm like, hey, you know what? I'll let you talk. I'll let you say your piece and I'm gonna say my piece. Then after that, we finished talking and I'm like, yeah, I think blending's right about time to wrap up now. I think everyone's having their edge. So I'm like, let's wrap up this story now, make it just enough for everyone to really love it, and then we'll move on. Which is what we did, and yeah. That's blending, man.
Dude, that's blending, right? Damn, I want to see this like bad. Like,
Yeah,
I think he showed me a little bit of it, like a little like cut of it. But yeah, it'd be sick to see that like fully,
Yeah, for sure. It's in theaters on August 26th.
Okay, everyone hear that? Like, what kind of theaters? Like, just all theaters in general?
Oh no! It's gonna be in a selected theater. No.
Okay.
So I'm gonna choose a specific theater in Toronto, and I'm gonna show it there. And I might also show it at the drive-in movie theater in Oakville as well.
That's sick. I like that a lot.
And it's even better to watch now because we know the whole backstory of what went into it, right?
It's a whole thing, man. It's a whole thing. I'm gonna make the making of blending sometime this week so everyone can see as well.
There was a lot of BTS footage.
Yeah, a whole
Almost
lot.
getting hit by a train.
Oh yeah.
That happened.
Yeah, literally. The third day
We're
of our
filming on train
shooting.
tracks. Man,
Really, dude?
Yeah.
I'll let you tell.
So, yeah, blending was a ride. All right, before we even get into that, let me just give you all like a quick rundown. So the first day of blending, everybody got parking tickets straight out the gate, and I'm like, all right, there goes a good chunk of the budget right there. But I'm like, all right, cool. So first day that happened. Second day, surprisingly decent. Third day, we're all on the train tracks. We're filming the scene. And then all of a sudden I remember when the actors asked me, so like, hey, so this train there's no running trains right now, right? I'm like, no. I've been here like every day this week and I've never seen a train ever pass through here. It's like, all right, cool. Then we're shooting. And then all of a sudden, mid shot, you literally see, like, I'm gonna post the shot online. Mid shot, you literally see the actor go, oh, there's a train.
Oh my
And then we all turn around and there's a train coming straight for us. And we're like, oh shit, sweet. Everyone has to grab all this shit and just run off the tracks. And we literally just make it. Everyone pulls out their
Scary,
phone.
dude.
You see go, vroom. And I'm like,
That could have been awful.
okay. Yeah. So I'm like, we do not have insurance for this.
Yeah.
So yeah, that
No,
was
because we were
crazy.
we were filming this way, like whatever. The actors were facing the way that the train was coming, so everyone else is facing.
You guys
that
are filming
way.
on the train,
Yeah, on the train
On the tracks. On the tracks.
and there's a train coming.
and it was coming behind us. And the
Yeah.
actors in the shot are like,
Yeah, because all of us, basically the entire
Imagine we
crew
thought it was
is facing
improv
this
and-
way. Exactly.
Oh yeah, they just there.
The entire crew is facing this way, and then we got the two actors they're facing this way, right? So we're literally just all of us just watching them act, and then all of a sudden, because they can see everything, they're facing this way. They're like, "Oh, there's a train." We're like, "What?" No, we all see everyone turn around like, "Oh yeah, there is a train. We gotta go." Like,
jumped in the bushes.
yeah, literally, we had
Like
to 'cause
right next.
Everything
Oh my
is
There's like
it's just
footage
bush.
of like us right there.
Yeah.
Going by.
And here's it was a service train, so they only came by
awful.
like once in a blue moon. They passed through, but that one time, of course, it has to be when we're shooting, and of course, that's the time.
Good thing the equipment
Literally-
didn't get hit too.
Literally
Yeah.
everything that could go wrong. It's like
Everything.
the Murphy's Law. It's like if it
Exactly.
can happen, it will happen.
And it
type.
did happen.
And it did.
And it did happen.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Wow.
Like I remember like we had to like there's another couple shoot days where we had some actors that had to come in to shoot their scenes, and they just didn't show up whatsoever. And then like the next day they're like, "Oh shit, sorry, we're busy." I'm like,
Yeah, the next day.
all right, cool. So now, once again, sit down with the entire schedule, rework that again, and now we got it all over again. Like that shit it was definitely like, I'm not gonna lie, I love shooting, blending, but it was also a pain in the ass because like literally everything that could go wrong went wrong.
Yeah.
Like every single time. But that shit was like, it was just funny to really think about. Like, damn, that shit really just happened. That just happened. That just happened.
But you got a full film out of it now,
Yeah.
and you're happy with where it is.
I
How it came
am.
out?
I definitely am. I definitely wish the actors didn't drop out the times where I needed that scene. But when you guys watch it, you're going to see exactly like I still got the vision that I wanted across, which is exactly what I was hoping for. So when you guys watch it now, it's going to be like it's going to be a movie, literally.
Literally, it literally is.
Literally.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But that's good though. So you wanted it because it was a web series at
Yeah.
first, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then obviously you cut those things out because things happen and whatever. But so when you took it after, did you add anything now? Like, how did you make this? I mean, we had enough footage
Yeah.
to make it a feature,
Yeah.
but like, did you have to add anything to like fully
Yes,
like
I did. Because there's some
make it
scenes
flow
that
and everything?
there's scenes that were just pure garbage. I'm not afraid to just say call it as it is. Like there's some
No,
scenes that are
that's
just
fine, yeah.
pure, just absolute garbage. I'm like, I watched it back and I'm like, I don't think this is going to turn over well. Like even I'm watching it, and I'm like, no. So I had to literally basically just reshoot a bunch of scenes. That
Okay,
were,
so
like,
you did
insane
you
myself.
reshot stuff.
Yeah,
there, okay.
because just some scenes that basically only needed like a 1-2 person thing. So that way it's like more seamless and moves better, you know? But yeah, Blending started as a web series, but the reason why I wanted to be a web series originally is because essentially I wanted to tell a story of like a lifestyle that just never got better. Like it's things kind of like to make it make more sense. Basically like a group of people that constantly had to overcome something just because somebody else put them in that situation. It's kind of like the actions of every other people became their consequence, you know? But then I realized mid shooting that version of blending that it wouldn't make too much sense because it's kind of like, why is everybody else paying for this one person all the time? So I made it become basically everybody's actions have their own consequence. So when you watch, it's kind of like cause and effect, and you see the cause and effects play out constantly throughout the entire thing.
That's cool. I like that idea. That's a cool idea where like one person does something, affects their life, and then it's all
Exactly.
like intertwined in the plot, right?
Yes, exactly.
That's cool. How do you like think of all these things like, you know, so that it all makes sense? Like how do you make sure that there's no plot holes and all that kind of
Bro,
stuff?
I literally like you should ask the people I used to go to school with. Like I would literally put a entire diagram all over the walls and in the air. Like literally I draw strings everywhere.
Oh wow.
Strings.
Like
Yeah.
one of those detective
Yeah,
things,
literally.
right?
Yeah. Like for blending, I literally created like this like diorama kind of things. Like basically like it's kind of like I told you, it's cause and effects, right? So it's like think of it if you're thinking like alchemy, it's as above, so below, that symbol, right? So I made that symbol into basically the cause and effect of everything that would happen. And then I would draw in how the characters would react to every situation into that and basically built the entire story around that. And that way it's like you kind of know where everything is going at every single point. Because like, all right, if this happens, something has to happen from that. Because it's kind of like life. There's no real end. It's not going to be like, oh, okay, and that never happened ever again. There's always like, that's going to come back up. Like that person's not going to forget about that moment. Like these things are always going to come back up for you. So that's basically like how that stuff, and that's how my ideas tend to roll out for things. But it changes through every single thing I'm working on, basically.
That's interesting. I've never heard of anyone actually with the strings.
Yeah,
like,
man. Like
putting all the plots together, like visually. Like, so you're a very visual like, learner.
Very
right?
visual learner.
Well, I guess you make films, so that's probably the best job for that, right?
Exactly, man.
But that's cool. Do you do any other creative projects where you kind of go like that kind of route, or like?
Sort of. I mean, like I do photography on the side as well, and I like to just like explore different realms and that kind of stuff. I make music, but I'm not like an artist. I just like making like hearing sounds and stuff,
Right.
because I just love that kind of stuff. Poetry and stuff, but nothing like I wouldn't say hands on as much as film, because I guess film is just that funnel where you can create anything you want. So it's like, why create something else when you can create this? You know?
Yeah, you're literally world building.
Exactly.
And that's something that you can only really do through that kind of medium.
No, for sure. Like
Right.
genuinely. Because
Yeah.
like out of all the mediums, like I'd say music comes very close.
Very close.
Like
yeah.
very, very close. Except it literally misses that visual aspect.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like that one piece that literally ties everything together. Like, oh, I literally seen this before. You know?
Exactly, yeah.
It's crazy. But yeah, no, I had something to go on there about you were talking about the whole yeah, so I wanted to ask, you've done short films before,
Yeah.
before the whole blending and miniseries. I want to ask, like, how was it writing a miniseries versus writing something that's just made as a short film?
Man, that was different. I'm not gonna lie, I had way more fun writing longer version shit. Like you think, oh, you got more fun writing short shit. No. The longer shit it's more fun because you have so much more room to tell so much more. Cause like I remember like every time back when I was in film school and back in like high school as well, anytime I'd have a project for making a film, I'd always go like 3-4 minutes over because I always have so much more to tell. So like I'm like, oh, finally, this is like exactly what I needed. Like I can go on, you know? And it's not like just rambling on. It's an actual like conceptual storyline I'm trying to tell.
It's potent,
you know?
like doesn't
exactly.
Yeah, it's not just
you know?
like filler for like
Exactly.
4 minutes, right?
Because like think of it as like wine, you know? You gotta leave it there and you gotta let it ferment and just for it to keep going, getting better and better and better. So like by that last sip, you're like, damn, that shit really hits, you know?
You're
So
fucking drunk.
exactly. So like that's what I'm like. So basically to finish off what I'm saying, like longer version writing is way more, I would say, beneficial for me. And it was a lot easier for me to do because I had more room to figure out where I wanted my story to actually go. Because when you have a short version, it's really tight. So you really have to think, okay, there's only X, Y, and Z that you can really do. But when you're doing a longer version thing, you have full A to Z that you can actually do, you know? So yeah,
They definitely both have different challenges each, you know?
definitely.
Like
definitely.
shorter, it has to be very simple. A lot of
Yeah.
people, when they have those time constraints, they want to like make those longer films and like add all this complex shit.
Yeah.
But no, it's 3 minutes. It's got to be a simple story.
Exactly. It's 3 minutes. Keep it 3 minutes. Like,
And then you have the
keep
other
it.
challenge when you're trying to write something longer. You got to make sure everything actually makes sense and like is important to tell. Like, you know,
Exactly.
not just add stupid shit. But
That's why it's like, I find what I've learned is the importance of writing to emotion. Like, instead of writing, basically writing up the concept of emotion, because I feel like people write like the films that you don't really connect with, you tend to just get that, oh, they're trying to get that thing across, instead of saying, oh shit, I really felt that, you know? Because the difference between basically a story that has meaning and a story that has feeling is essentially how you feel afterwards, after you finish watching it. Like, do you remember when you go home? Are you like thinking about it the next day? Are you talking to your friends about it, you know? And it's kind of like that feeling like, damn, that shit really hit me. Like, it really hit me, because you're writing to the emotion that you're feeling. And people will connect to that emotion because you're feeling that exact same emotion.
Your own emotion, the
Exactly.
person creating the film.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So basically for blending, I wrote through basically 4 different perspectives of my own emotions, right? And how I would perceive that emotion on other people, right? So basically all the characters, so like for example, Capo, he's basically that person whose carefreeness wants to experience, you know, who doesn't really care about all the melodramatic that stuff that's going on. He's there, he's like just there for a fun ride, right? Then you have what's called Neptune. And Neptune's essentially the character that wants love and wants to experience, right? But at the same time, doesn't want to actually show that he wants love, because he still wants to be seen as like, you know, a hard nigga in front of his friends, right? Then you have Dimitri, who wants to be seen like as a huge like burst of a character, you know? Wants to be outgoing and like wild, but at the same time, he's just doing it because he wants to be noticed, right? And then you have Earl, who wants to basically fight for everything that he wants and just never wants to give up, but at the same time has on his own restrictions and his own basically battles that he's refusing to face at the same time. So like basically all these emotions connected, it basically blends together literally, and it makes basically one character. And people, when you watch it, you'll see that it's truly just one character going through one story. And that's what blending really is. That's the whole meaning of blending, you know? This one singular storyline, but basically broken into 4 different perspectives.
it's crazy. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
There you know.
Blending the
Yeah.
emotion and stuff.
Wow.
Exactly.
So those are like your own like kind of emotions and your thoughts, kind of like expressed visually.
Exactly.
Right.
And it's also basically like, and the personalities of the characters are based off of the personalities of my friends that I was hanging out with at the time.
Oh,
Like
right,
the main characters in the story, they're also my friends. Like a lot of their characteristics, because they're not natural born actors, I made sure it's very easy for them to reflect back on it for themselves. So that way it's like, when you watch back on it, it's like, okay, I feel this because this is just a normal person doing normal shit. Or this kind of stuff like, oh shit, that could happen to me. Because like, it's not like stuff that's so left field that you're like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense, you know?
Yeah.
It's stuff that's like, yo, that's crazy because I can imagine that actually happening, you know?
For sure.
All right, cool.
We're about to reach a little break.
I want to go on to that, but yeah, we're gonna take a short break here and then we'll be back.
All right.
I've done some dreaming in the nighttime. Yes, I have. Oh, but lately I've been dreaming in the daytime too. I guess you could say my dreams have been believing, but since you brought your love.
We're back. What were we talking about? Let's talk about the story about how you came up with blending.
All right. So basically how that happened is like, so it was Cameron, DC, and I. We were sitting in we came back from getting soul food. They were sitting in my kitchen. And basically, we're just shooting the shit. We're talking and we're thinking like, oh, yeah, it'd be cool to just create some shit this throughout the school year. I'm like, yeah, you know, that'd be dope. And then DC went to the bathroom. And the exact moment he went to the bathroom, I was watching Cameron and he was eating and he was just, you know, just because he was pretty chopped. So he's like, oh. So he's eating and I'm like, I was looking at him like, I just imagined that exact moment I was looking at him, like I'm just scrolling through Netflix and all of a sudden I just come across his face and then I just see him just holding a bowl of cereal and just looking up and he's like, huh? It's hella confused because like if you know Cameron, you know like he has that one face like,
Yeah.
Just hella, it's like, yeah, man, just that one face, you know? So I saw that, I'm like, yo, And then like when I see him, like I see him holding a bowl of cereal, and all of a sudden above his head I see blending is written there, and I'm like, whoa. There's just that one emotion that's attached to that, and I'm like, yo, that's fire. I want to make that one thing, like that exact thing right here, like what you're doing right here. I want to make this into like something, like maybe even like I told him like, yo, let's make a web series into this. I'm like, I have this idea, blah 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 blah. You know, we're shooting this shit, we're talking about it, and then like all right, bet, and we decided, and then from there, like I remember like from like September to October, where like I came over to this place like every day and we're talking about it. And then they're pretty chopped. So like sometimes they'll be like super into it, and other times they'll be like, yeah, you know? But in October, we actually shot the first version of blending. And basically that version of blending was essentially like it's keep it frank, it was essentially like a fucking Atlanta ripoff. Like, and I'm watching, I'm like, yo, I have this whole thing. I'm like, I thought about him, but I'm like, it's not hidden home. Yeah, like it's more of like the idea of what this lifestyle will be like, but it's not exactly this lifestyle just yet. And then we shot like a bunch of it, a couple scenes of it, and it was hella cold, so nobody was really like into the characters and stuff. Plus, it wasn't written perfectly to their characteristics yet. So we shot that. We're like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna keep it as a spec in case of anything, but let's just shelf this and we'll come back to it later. 99% of the school year passed. Now we went all the way down to March. And then I'm like, all right, now let me get into writing this. And basically, I wrote the whole thing within like 5-6 days. Wait, how many episodes? 8 episodes. So 8 days. I basically wrote that. It's back to back to back to back. And that shit was experience to finish that whole thing. Because afterwards, the reason I did it like in such a tight time frame was because I had to go off of every emotion I was feeling back to back. So like, all right, I feel this, but I don't understand this. So let me write this in and leave it open-ended because I don't understand, because that's how open-ended I'm feeling. Right. And I come back, I'm gonna leave this open-ended and come back to how I'm feeling there. And basically like that's how basically blending came to be. Like it started off as a imitation of life and it really became life afterwards, you know? But yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good story.
So how about you? So you did the spec,
Yeah.
and how do you think like that helped you in terms of actually making something
See the
into
spec.
something that is more like actually authentic to you? Because the spec,
yeah.
you're saying it was like Atlanta.
Yeah.
Right. And I can see that. Like if I were to make a spec, obviously you're gonna rip off some things a little bit
Yeah.
until you can fully see what you want.
Exactly. And because Atlanta was my huge inspiration for it at the time.
Right. Great show.
Yeah. Amazing show. It's literally my favorite show. It's
I
just
still haven't watched
Yeah,
it,
you
man.
s-
I
you
wanna
gotta-
watch
you
it.
it's
gotta see
phenomenal.
that.
Like I won't say no spoilers now. It's just phenomenal. So the spec itself, it started off essentially wanting to be something that it wasn't. It was trying to basically showcase a lifestyle that me myself did not understand. And you can't like, it's kind of like, oh, yo, let's make this freaking projects style story. No, like if I'm not from the projects, why am I making a show about the projects? You know? So I'm like, how about we just make it to where we are, how we are, and just go from there. It's okay for it not to have to be all these different things because you're not experiencing those things. The films that are like that's because the majority of the people experience it or they're around people that have experienced it so they can talk about it, you know? For myself, when I was making that spec, I realized at the end, I'm like, yeah, this is not going to work. Like, it looks, you know, a little cinematic there and there, but it don't work. Plus, I was like shooting it all in my Osmo pockets. I'm like, this shit is not going to work. like I only have one focal length and shit. I'm like, no, this ain't going to work, you know? So I'm like, let's start over. So it really helped me see that in order for me to get my vision across, I have to double down on myself instead of trying to imitate what I've already seen, you know?
I think that's a tough thing with like filmmakers because I think everyone just thinks they don't have a story.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
It's like tough. Like you just think like your life is boring, but you have to have some capability of making it interesting and taking like your emotions, feelings, everything like that. I think that's really what it comes down to.
No, 100%. Like 100%. Because I found for even myself that like when I first started making films, like I'll make it, but I wouldn't understand like, okay, but how would I tell the story and to make it interesting? Okay, what if I added a massive explosion, or how if I added this and this? And I'm like, it doesn't have to be so essentially glamorized or so dramatic for it to actually be meaningful, you know? Like people keep thinking their lives aren't meaningful. And I feel like that's the misconception in filmmakers. They think what they're making or themselves don't have meaning. But then the ones that are really successful, they understand that the meaning comes from myself. If I understand, oh, I'm good at this shit, or I have shit to tell, you know? It can be as a normal story of you being like, oh, I tried to pick up this water bottle, but it slipped out my hand and fell, you know? You can make an entire story based around that, and you can make it amazing. But like, if you don't believe in yourself that you can actually do that, then you're not going to be able to do it. Every idea is going to come and pass you by because you're going to think, oh, that idea is not good enough. Oh, no one will want to watch that. No one will want to watch that. But it's not true. It's whether or not you want to make that, you know? Because if you make it, people are going to watch it. As long as you know that, I made this from my heart, you know? I made this like, I actually believe this is going to be something special, you know? And that's why I see him, like, even with all your films, Jean-Luc, I'm seeing them, like, I look at him, like, see, I can tell he wants to make this because he sees something special in this. Like, when I saw a radio, I'm like, that's hard. That shit's hard. Especially that teaser trailer. Like, that shit goes crazy. I'm like, I thought this shit was going to be like a huge freaking cinematic IMAX movie. I'm like, damn, this shit looks different. But that's good because you showed that, like, I have something to tell. Right. And it doesn't matter how big or how small, it's something to tell because I have meaning in what I have to say, you know?
And I think that goes with anything creative.
Yeah.
Of course.
Of course. Everything. You have to believe in yourself in order to actually create, to believe what you want to do, you know? If you don't believe in yourself, then what's the point?
That's a good message, dude. It definitely is. Like, you know what? That's true because, like, you have a life that no one else has lived. You know, and you have things you've seen that no one else has seen, friends that no one else has, that makes it unique to you, which allows you to tell a unique story, which is valuable to others because they've never seen it before.
Exactly.
You know, so like all of us here, we find a way to tell our story through different avenues, right?
Yeah.
You know,
like, have you felt that with music and stuff?
Yeah. Well, honestly, I'm still discovering that right now. Like, I think every person who is just starting something goes through like an imitation phase. You know, where they're trying to just recreate stuff. Like, we even made like a stupid short film series, and it was like a derivative of like this other comedy series. And we were like, oh yeah, like it would have been good, but it was just so much like this other thing. And like, even at the beginning of this podcast, like I felt like there were times where we were very derivative of like other podcasts, maybe Full Send, maybe Impulsive. But like, you try like to individualize yourself as you keep going, right?
Yes,
like,
because you're chasing that feeling.
Right.
You gotta chase the feeling. Because see, the reason why it all started off that way is because you're like, oh man, I saw this and I'm like, that was amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
I want that. It's because you're chasing that feeling of it because you realize that's what matters. The feeling, not the film, the feeling that it brings to you. So I feel like that's where people get the misconception in their art is that you think it's what you're making is what's the most valuable part of it. It's what it makes you feel. You know, because I love making films, but I don't love the aspect of actually making the film. I love the feeling that the film brings to me.
Yeah,
you know?
that's
the actual truth, and that's what like I've come to realize. Like every time I make a film, like damn, I'm happy, but that's what I've been looking for. It's not even like the aspect of actually putting that film out or doing this and that and that. It's the actual aspect of actually making that thing tangible, you know?
Right.
And when you chase that feeling, like for example, like when I was like first watching Atlanta, I'm like, oh my God, I love that feeling it brought to me. I want to create that. I want to recreate that. I want to create that feeling it brought from me, but into my own perspective, you know? And even for you guys, you know, you guys saw those short films, you're like, yo, I want to make that. I want to make that feeling, you know? And you're like, you don't clue in on it because you're just thinking, oh, I want to make this thing. I want to make something amazing, you know? But it's the feeling that it brings to you. But when you clue in, like, oh, that's what it is, it makes it way more fun, you know? Because you're like, even like for like this podcast, you know, like it would start off first like, okay, yo, let's have some fun, you know? And then eventually, like for people that basically fall off, it becomes like, okay, let's do this. We have to do this, this, and this, and this, and this. No. You have to have fun. That's what it actually is. That's what you don't forget what you actually are doing. Every time you forget what you're doing, you fall back. That's like where a lot of people feel that instance of like, oh, I feel like I'm not doing the right things because you forgot what you're actually trying to do. You're not trying to do the thing. You're trying to feel what you're trying to do. You know, you're trying to feel the motion about doing the thing, like for doing the thing.
Yeah, because there's been times like where this is starting to become businessy. It's like very like, okay, we got to do this, treat it like a business. Like we were literally having this conversation like the other night. Like if we're gonna take it to the next level, we got to treat it like a business. We got to do this, we got to do that and that and that. But then we kind of forget like maybe like we should just do what kind of got us to this point.
Exactly.
You know, like we've been
Exactly.
doing great. So why are we like, if it's not broken, don't fix it.
That's
kind of thing.
adultification right there. See, it's the whole mindset of thinking that you have to basically do one thing. You basically have to like change the way you approach something in order for it to become more successful. But that's a complete and utter lie. Think of all the people that are successful. They're all saying, oh yeah, I love what I do. And the reason they love what they do, and the reason that you don't always see them doing like 20 different things just to showcase that they can do what they can do, is because they're not doing it for the sake of like being a business. They're doing it because they love doing it. It's for the fun of it, you know? That's what actually matters. Because like, think of like a kid, right? A kid is going to go outside and see the whole world super saturated.
Right.
While an adult will come in and see, okay, yeah, this is just living, you know? Like think of soul. That's what the whole meaning of soul was, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah.
This is a regular old living. No. Everything is amazing. Like this mic is amazing. This whole setup is amazing. Like everything, explore and experience everything, because that's how you actually that's how you love what you do.
Right.
When you actually experience and love every minute of it.
That's true.
I can definitely feel that.
Exactly. You can feel it.
But yeah, because like me and Nick produces beats, and like sometimes I'll go on them for fun too, right? Like
Yeah.
and I always say to him like, make those like fun like Ian Dior type song. You know Ian Dior, the artist, or 24 Karat Golden, because the feeling I get from listening to those songs makes me happy. So I want to make music like that, for example, right? Because I like the feeling it brings me, so I want to bring that feeling to other people as well. So like I understand what you mean with that. So
But yeah, but that's kind of going back to like, yeah, sure, it is creating the feeling, but it is still derivative of something that you are inspired by.
Exactly.
But like, I think the real great stuff comes with like going through that point. Like you have to get past that point of being inspired by someone else until you start to inspire other people.
Yeah, there's
Exactly.
always that phase.
You know, you got to push through it, right? Like it's definitely like a necessary.
Like
phase.
I used to recreate like Indiana Jones and like
Yeah.
recreate Jurassic Park scenes. You have to go through that, right? Because then you're just learning the ability that you have, the technical ability, everything, and then you start writing yourself.
Yeah, then you start like piecing the parts you've learned. Like in my music, like I like, oh my God, all I want to do is make a Kanye West type song. And like I'll do like crazy stuff like Mike Dean synths and all these kind of things crazy, right? Like how a Kanye song would be. And then I realized, wait a second, this sounds like a Kanye song. Like this is not like a Nick song. I got to change this up, right? Like so, but then next thing I know, like 2 weeks later, I'm maybe taking like the synths that I used on that and I'm mixing it with some R&B stuff. And it's like, oh, that's like some crazy thing that's never been done before. But like I needed to like, you know, test that avenue out, and I needed to go through that to experience, you know, the Kanye style. And now I can take elements of the Kanye style and implement it into my style. But I'm not Kanye. Of course, I'll never be Kanye. But I can be Nick, and I can do it in a way where I'm influenced a little bit by Kanye, but then I'm also taking stuff from, you know, Drake. I'm taking stuff from Tame Impala, from Tyler, the Creator, taking it all and putting it all together to make something that's like hopefully new and like actually inspiring to other people, right?
For sure.
Exactly. You create your individuality. That's good.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to battle with right now. Like, I just don't want to be someone else, you know? I want to be individual, and it's also like identity too. Like, how do you find your identity in this time? And as young guys like us, we're all trying to find our identity, like what we are, what we stand for, what our values are, what we want to create, what we want to leave behind. Those are all things that we're all trying to figure out right now. And I think this podcast is a good, you know, way of talking about that. And like, you know, because it's cool to hear you also deal with that too, or you also are kind of, maybe you've gone past that point, and that's why you're able to make this like great film that we're excited to see, right? So, you know, it's cool to hear your point of view on it. You know, we don't always hear that kind of point of view. You know?
Yeah. No, 100%, man. But I find what you said very interesting there. The whole idea of like trying to find yourself. Like I feel like we all try to find ourselves in what we do. And I feel like that's where we tend to, once again, stray away from ourselves, because we keep looking everywhere, but instead of just right here, you know? That's all you got to remember is what makes you happy. If it's the simplest things, it's the smallest things, because you think, oh, well, for example, brushing my teeth in the morning makes me happy. Okay, then do that. If writing poems makes you happy, then do that. Do all the small shit, you know? And just allow it to be. Because that's all this stuff, it will make you into who you truly need to become. Because like we were talking about just earlier, like you start off first as like wanting to imitate everybody you see, because all the people you see, you find them to be so amazing.
Right,
so you want to imitate them. But then after you imitate it, then you realize, wait, this emotion isn't mine. This is somebody else's.
Stolen a little bit. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's not like authentic.
Exactly. So then you go back and you start rapping back, and you think back to the original feeling it first brought to you. Like, okay, what does this actually really mean? And then that's when you're like, all right, let me stop trying to go down the route and like trace over their own drawings. Let me actually just try something. Let me start from scratch and just go with what I feel. And then that's how most artists make art.
Yeah.
That's literally how it goes.
It's almost like one of the reasons why art is so good for people to do, because it actually, like, you know, if you do it enough, you start to become more authentic as a person in general.
Yeah.
And you stop trying to be like a wannabe or like a copy of someone else, right?
Exactly,
like
man.
that like is imperative in like real life as well. Like there could be people and personalities that you get inspired from and you want to be like, and then you realize, wait a second, like, okay, sure, I've kind of tried to be like a jock or something, or I tried to be a really artsy person inspired by certain figures in your life, right?
Yeah.
And then you realize, wait a second, like, why don't I just be myself for a little bit?
Exactly.
But then you take a little bit of all those things and you become well-rounded, and that was, you know, maybe the purpose of going through that stage. You experience those different personalities, those different like archetypes per se, and then you become more like a well-rounded person.
Yeah,
right?
you have to explore the unknown in order to understand that like you are the unknown. You know,
No, exactly, yeah. Like, go look at Drake's old catalog of music. He literally sounds like Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, like,
And that's,
he was Lil Wayne.
But
like,
that's because he was around. That's who he was around, right?
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
inspired. Because every day he was in the studio with him. He literally watched Lil Wayne make like 5 hits in a row. And he's
Right.
like, how? And then so he wants like, no, I want to find that. And so he went and he chased after that. And then he's like, wait a minute. What if I just took all that away and did this? And then we have Drake now. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's no longer like Drake, the new Lil Wayne. No, it's just Drake, you know? And now everybody else is the new Drake, you know?
oh, it's like a cyclical thing.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
That's really weird.
Yeah. That's the, yeah.
The hardest thing is to find how to be yourself.
How to be yourself. That it's literally like in life and in art, right? And it's like you were saying, like how, you know, your film was literally like an imitation of life.
Yes.
And like I kind of want to talk about that a little bit. Like, does life imitate art, and does art imitate life? Right?
See,
Like,
yes, that's what people got to really think about.
Yeah.
Because really think, all right, if you genuinely, we're going to go back now. If you generally think about it, right?
Right.
Since the beginning, sorry, let me bring this back because I'm going to be like over here. Since the beginning of everything, right?
Right.
When we look outside, when we look at everything, we're mesmerized by landscapes and all that shit, right?
Yeah.
So we first start with what we feel when we look at all that shit. So if you really think about it, nature itself is true art. So life, that's technically life. So we take what we feel from nature and then we create that feeling back in our art.
Right.
We manifest basically that whole idea of like, okay, you see that tree? And with all the freaking blue and green and yellow leaves all connected into one, I want to create something that feels just like how this tree makes me feel. And then you create all of a sudden a melody, right? And you create a song to how the tree feel, how you hear the tree,
Yeah.
You know, how the way the wind blows through certain things, the way how you hear certain animals like make their noises, you know? And you're like, whoa, this is art. This is true art. Nature itself, all the things that we consider arts are all things found in nature. So that's the true beginning of art. Therefore, art imitates life. Life does not imitate art.
Life is art.
Exactly.
Okay.
Life is art. Everything is literally one. It's you can't call like
Where's the horn?
can't call one thing the other if you don't realize that both of them are the exact same thing. Hence blending, you know?
Yeah,
Everything is
wow.
one thing.
That's cool, dude. That's a cool idea. I never looked at it that way. You know, that life is art, you know? And I think when you're in the right mental space, you can see that pretty easily. You can go, oh wow, like that is actually a really just nice tree. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's like,
and man, like this year I've been going through the bends. The bends is basically what I call like going through up and downs.
Right.
Like, and the whole time, like, because I started off this year, I was working in the studio, and then basically like I realized I wasn't getting paid, so I had to leave because I was working there for like 2 months, and at the end I was got paid I think $30. So I'm like, yeah, I gotta go. So I left there, and then after that I'm like, damn, okay, I really gotta figure out what I want, what I need to do next. Then afterwards I'm like, okay, around the exact same time I just finished putting out the original version of Blending, and I'm like, I don't really, you know. So after that, I really started thinking about myself. I'm like, okay, what do I really want? What is actually like, what is actually life? And then I thought about something, because I went through this whole up and down of like caring and then not giving a fuck, caring and not giving a fuck. Then I realized one thing. Everybody is just working for a living. Nobody's living for a living. You are doing all these different things. For example, think of a 9-to-5er, right? They go to work, they're there from 9 a.m. to like 5 p.m. Then they go home. Then they go home, they're with their family for a bit, they watch TV, go to sleep, then they do the same thing every single day in, day out.
It's like the B movie.
Exactly. It's such a small thing. That this is your life. This is literally your life. Sorry. This is literally your life. All right? Yeah. Then you realize, like when you watch Soul, you realize, wait, this isn't water. This is the ocean. All right? This isn't like one small quarter. This isn't all
Like a
that life
puddle.
has to be.
Yeah.
You have to realize that there's so much more. Just going on one vacation a year is not going to cut it. Just taking one day off a year is not going to cut it. You have to realize that like your life is what you decide it to be. If you don't take time out for yourself, you're just gonna fucking be lonely
Dude, like,
and depressed.
okay, just
man.
think about this for 1 second. This is gonna get a little bit like, like deeper. But like if we're like born like in this world, right? We don't know anything else, and you're just born in this world. Like, why wouldn't you live and do every single thing you could do?
Exactly.
Like, why would you just do like why would you just be a robot? Like, you're not a robot. Like,
Exactly.
It's kind of like you have a consciousness and you can like see that that's clearly not what you're the only thing you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
It's just one thing your whole life, especially if it's like for someone else, your entire life, you're a slave in that sense, right? Like if you're working for 40 years for a corporation doing monotonous tasks your whole life, you got to think there's more to life than that.
Exactly. Yeah. And you can tell, because like if you feel yourself all of a sudden just moving in autopilot, then you know something's wrong. If you ever find yourself just waking up, okay, let's
Going
go.
through the motion.
Yeah.
Just going, do your thing, and then you realize your body is just reacting instead of expressing itself. Then you know what? Maybe I need to change something.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like maybe something is missing from this entire experience, because like you're gonna have to quit your job to realize that your job was never what life was about. You know, like you can't work for a living, because then your whole life is just work. It's not actually living. You know, you're not actually gonna. You're at your deathbed. You're gonna be like, damn, I wish I took more time. I wish I took more time out. You know, I wish I did this. I wish I did X, Y, and Z. Like look us. We're in our 20s and shit. Like we have so much time to experience everything we can, and at the same time, shit can end any second. Like you never know. That's why it's so important to just do and experience. You know,
For sure.
Especially because you don't know if you'll have a second chance at this life. So
exactly.
It's like do everything you can now. Like, and don't waste it.
Ain't nobody going on the other side and came back. Yo, that shit was crazy. Let me tell you what happened. Like no, like it's you're done. You're done.
I think people like some people get that like epiphany where they're like, shit, like I'm actually gonna die one day and like I want to do shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it kind of boiled down to that, but like it's like a stupid way of saying it. But I think it definitely happened to me a couple of years ago where I just was like a little bit of an existential crisis. And I started to realize like, oh shit, like what if I like had 5 years to live or something like that crazy? Like what would I do like right now to like leave some sort of legacy? And like, you know, it kind of like woke me up a little bit. And like every single move I did after that was in like direction of trying to leave something behind, you know, like a legacy type thing. But like, you know, I'm also now coming to like the point where maybe the legacy isn't everything and like what you leave behind isn't everything. You know, maybe it's just the people you interacted with while you're here, because they're all not going to remember because they're not going to be here one day.
Exactly.
So then really, is it about legacy, right? Like,
see, I'm about to say something. All right, listen. Okay, no, I'm gonna ask y'all first. Okay, what do you think the true meaning of afterlife means?
the life that's after you die. Like,
See, afterlife is not literally a life after death. Afterlife is how you're remembered by the people, how you're celebrated after your life. You understand? After life, after your life, after you pass. So instead of focusing on the aspect of like, okay, I gotta just experience this one thing. No, interact with people, talk to people, let people feel you, let people see how you are. Like, open yourself up to the world, and the world will open itself up to you. And then you'll see, like, when you're gone, people remember you for like decades to 1,000 years plus. Like, we're still talking about people from
like
way
Socrates,
back.
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
exactly. Like,
philosophers, yeah.
it's because you're remembered. You know, you're celebrated through what you put on this earth, what you did. You know, you don't have to do something super crazy. You can do something that's so small, but it hits someone at one point that everyone is going to remember you. They'll tell their whole family line. Let's keep
100%.
going and going and going.
But like
and going.
I also feel like there's a lot of people who don't plant trees for like the shade of the future, if that kind of makes
Yeah.
sense. Like they're here to chop the trees down.
No, that's
like,
hard.
you know what I mean?
You said that hard.
Like,
that was beautiful.
You know,
No.
you got some like Lorax motherfuckers like out here trying to chop all the trees down, and it's like, wait a second, like what is the point? You know, like
Yeah.
is it for your current fire, you know?
Exactly.
The wood, is it for your fire for right now, or is it for the shade of like 4 other generations? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And, like we don't have enough people who are thinking that way. We have more people who are like finite thinkers. We don't have infinite thinkers.
Exactly.
I think that's like Simon Sinek said that.
No, that's exactly it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you think on a basically, let's say, a 2-dimensional plane where you think only yourself matters.
Right.
You know? But then you realize you'll be alive and then you're going to pass. You'll be gone.
Yeah.
Are you just going to leave? Is that like afterwards? All let's, for example, if you had a whole cave full of gold, you just want to leave that behind. So even if you're gone, are you going to just leave it there and just be like, no, nobody's allowed to touch it, even if I'm not here, I don't care. Give it on, pass it on. How you have your entire family go forward, you know? Like you don't have to just think, okay, upgrade your mind to a 3rd-dimensional thinking, or at least to a 4th-dimensional thinking, understanding that it's not just about you, you know? I feel like the people that create, again, come back around again, people that make good shit understand it's not just about them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
what the feeling brings to them, but they want to express it to everyone else. It's not just about you. Life is not about you. It's not just about you. Like you're not the main character, you know? Everyone's the main character, man.
God damn.
That was perfect right there. We're ending it right there.
Ending up.
We'll be back after the break.
Big one.
Okay, perfect.
All right, we're
Yes.
back.
We're back.
Yes, sir.
After
Alright.
that deep convo, but I don't know, how do we want to approach this? Go and get back into some deep shit. Or?
No, we could.
Let's just leave him with that. No.
What do we think? What do you got? What do you got? For
What
us?
do I got? What do you got?
Let's talk about the simulation. No.
Some guy actually DM'd me. He was like, "You guys talk about like more about the simulation, like
Anyways,
please, like,
talk about it.
please talk about it more, please." So yeah, we talked about it more. I think already in this pod. Like I don't know. No, we didn't. No, I don't know. I feel like it's like the same kind of like topic
Same kind of level of deepness.
of consciousness and like
Consciousness.
thinking and stuff, right?
Simulations.
Where were we? Where were we before?
We're actually on
this?
DMT right now.
Where's Joe Rogan at, man? Oh man, I feel like the fact that we have to like kind of end these little segments,
Oh, it kind of breaks.
it breaks it because it's like, oh, we're just on this like stream of consciousness that if it
Yeah,
would
I
like didn't stop, it would be way better.
For sure.
But that's something to note for the future episodes.
We gotta
Jonathan.
figure it out.
We gotta,
What kind of camera to get?
yeah. What kind of camera? If you guys know any cameras that go longer than 30 minutes, let us know. You probably do. Let's get-
Sony, yeah, what's on the A7? Oh no, A7C.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the A7C. They record it just forever, literally.
Good note.
Right, note that.
Note.
Note that. All right. Okay, so what were we getting into? You know, we're talking a lot about individuality. You know, we're talking about inspirations and stuff like that. And then, how about we get into like what happens after you kind of become like an individual? Like, what is the process after that? Like, you know, like as a like
You
know?
begin to live for yourself instead
Right.
of living for other people. Because all right, I got something. I got somewhere we can go. All right. So parents, right?
Right.
With your parents, you realize. So to continue off where we're going last time, if you after you finish dropping off your gold and everything, right? You leave it on. You pass it on to the next generation. We have to realize this one thing, right? Every generation is just carrying on from the previous generation. Everything, all the knowledge, everything that they have, everything is coming from the previous generation. So you have to realize that everything that they know is based on experience, knowledge, and misbelief or misconception. Not everything they know is true.
Yeah.
Not everything they say is true. Everything is wrong. You know,
Right.
a lot of things are right, a lot of things are wrong. So when you go to your parents, they basically, it's kind of like you get spawned into the world, and it's like your parents are like, "Yo, let me tell you everything I just learned, man. Like I gotta catch you up to date before I head out. All right.
Yeah.
So let me just tell you everything I got, everything that happened here. So they fill you in. And you're like, damn, that show's crazy. I'm gonna go tell the next generation when they come. And it's like it keeps happening like that. But then at the same time, you have to remember, after they fill you in of everything they learned. You have to now take it and everything they learned, figure out if it's bullshit or facts, and then afterwards, then you go like, okay, where can I expand from here? Where can I go on? Because I feel like what happens with parents in older generations is that you see like they have the same mindset going through because they're not expanding themselves. They're not realizing like, okay, that's one point of view. How about we explore a new point of view? It's not, you don't have to just go one way each time.
It's like linear thinking.
Exactly,
right?
exactly. That's why freaking racism like that Jim Crow era happened for so long. Because every generation is like, okay, you hate them, you hate them, you hate them. Until one generation is like, you know what?
Do we actually hate them?
Let's think about it for this generation. The next generation after that. Okay, we thought about it. I don't think so.
Yeah.
And then other people are like, well, maybe, I don't know. And that's how shit goes. That's how if you look around in society, most people are either on that, I don't know, or let's just wait and see kind of mentality, you know?
Yeah.
And you just have to realize you don't have to live the life for your parents. Continue living your own life. Parents, sometimes they fear that their time is coming soon. So they're like, okay, I'm just gonna give you everything, all my fears, my insecurities, everything. And it doesn't matter how it makes you feel. All that matters is that I'm getting it off of my chest because I'm afraid if I run out of time, I won't be able to fill in all these things. And that's why people call the karmics, I know the generational curses, you know, or generational cycles. That's all just the parents being like, okay, I have all these things I still have yet to figure out. I need you to figure it out. I'm not going to tell you how that I need you to figure it out, but I'm going to just throw it on you, you know? So it's kind of like saying like, for example, if you want to be a dancer, like that whole time back in the freaking 60s, like, I want to be a dancer. No, you will not be my dancer. I don't want a son who'll be a dancer, you know? And it's like, okay, why? Because I was too afraid to explore this kind of realm. So I need you to figure this shit out. I'm not going to tell you to figure it out, but I need you to figure this out, you know? And then each generation has to pick up on those kind of facts. That's why it's like, when you get in arguments or when you're talking to your parents and you realize like, okay, we're missing the mark here with our conversations. You have to realize like, yo, they can't figure that out because it's not for them to figure it out. It's for you to figure it out. The next generation, you know, it's always going to keep expanding and everyone's going to keep growing when you realize that fact.
And I feel that with my family a little bit. It's like we're doing all these creative things and they just can't wrap their head around it really.
Yeah.
And like we are having some success, you know, especially with the podcast, it's doing pretty good. But they don't understand that success. Like I think they really only get it if you're making a lot of money or if it's like people of their nationality. Like, like they were saying like, oh, like we had this guy, Mark Anthony, on. He was really good. He's a comedian, but like since he's like an Italian comedian who does like Italian stand-up and stuff like that, it's like you guys are really making it. This is amazing. How did you guys get these guys? This is gonna be something. You know what I mean? They're telling all their friends about it. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But like we had people who were even more known than him before, and that didn't even matter. So it's like
because they don't know them.
They don't know them, right? So like, but they I don't know. I felt like I really haven't been like, I don't know. I don't want to say praised in my family, but like I feel like I could be a little bit more for the stuff we're doing. But like at the same time, they don't understand what we're doing.
Exactly.
Like,
they don't understand.
No.
Because take this in, right? I feel like parents have an ego. Obviously, everyone has an ego, but parents have an ego, which is the aspect of thinking that they are better than their children. But you realize your child is two perspectives merged into one. Therefore, they're like theoretically better than you.
Yeah,
you know, they're supposed to be. That's the point of you having a child. When you have a kid, you are signing up for the idea of like, okay, I'm creating something that's bigger and better than me. All right. I need to understand that.
The parents are like cheesing
exactly.
behind the camera right now.
Like I'm just saying how it is. Like that's just the reality of it. Like you sign up to realize that, okay, this kid is going to take it further. All right. It's going to take what I've learned and run with it. I'm passing the baton literally, you know, and they're about to run with it. So once I let it go, I have to realize, okay, it's okay to not understand, but understand that they're going, you know, just give them room to grow. Because parents have the full capability to destroy that kid if they truly wanted to. They can turn that kid exactly like them, or they can be like, okay, I can see where I can easily just throw all my beliefs on you. But how about this? How about I gradually introduce them to you and ask you, because you're the one supposed to be teaching me, because you're the next generation. you know, how we can heal from these things, how we can break all these curses, and then you go on, man.
I think there's a lot of things like with that. There's a lot of parents that can, and there's some unfortunate like circumstances that children are put in, right? With bad parenting. And then, yeah, like you're saying, a lot of parents can put themselves onto the children, right? What they want. Oh, I wanted to do that. You're going to do it now. But that's the wrong. I don't even know. I'm not even going to speak. I'm not a parent. But you can't force your child to do things that you wanted to do, but you have to help them out.
Yeah.
Because you brought them into this world. They didn't choose to be here.
Exactly.
So you have to give them everything that you can, but they still have their own life to live. And they can choose to accept everything that you give to them or not.
Exactly.
And then some people will be like, why? You're such a bad child doing this. They have their own life.
Well,
But you still owe them. They don't owe you really anything.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, at the same time,
Because they didn't choose to be here. You brought them here.
Exactly.
Right.
But you owe them everything, though. Because you decided to have a child.
So the parent
You
owns the
decide to
child.
continue.
Yeah.
You wanted that legacy to continue, so you have to understand, for better for worse, the child is here to keep it going.
Yeah. And why wouldn't you want your kid to be successful? Like you're saying, maybe some parents like maybe don't push their kids to be the best they can. They kind of keep them in a little bubble like they are. Maybe like a jealousy thing. Like, no, I don't want my kid to be like more
Because
successful than me.
it's all what he was talking about
Yeah.
your own fear and
But, you know,
anxieties.
you'd want your kid to be the best they can and do better than you, because then it's like you feel proud as a parent too. Like, wow.
But I don't think some parents do want them
Yeah,
to do
It's
better.
because
than
of
them.
FOMO,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Everyone has
That's
FOMO.
another thing too.
Like I know I kind of feel that a little bit. Where
It's
it's
'cause
like
they
you're doing
couldn't
so
do that.
well, and they're
Yeah. Like
like
you were saying.
they're kind of like, okay, sure, it's like all like support, and then it starts to get like it's either like annoying to them or like
Well, it's because they wish they could have did that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's where they're missing out on the idea of like, yo, it's not like you are no longer going to be able to succeed, or you're no longer being able to to grow. You're still in this, you know, until you're not. So just allow yourself to realize, yo, this kid can teach me shit that I've never even thought about, you know, and it's okay. And it's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay. You know, it's okay. Like,
It's okay.
it's okay. Just be willing to be open to being confused. You know, you don't have to always know the next move. Be open to being confused. Like, there's a lot of shit going on in the world that you don't actually know about. Like, you don't know what's in 90% of the food that you eat. Like, but you just like, all right, I don't know, but you know, just go in heads first and just allow yourself to experience. Man, that's
But,
all I got to say on that.
Sometimes people may say, but like you can't blame the parents. Like I'm not saying that. Like, but do you guys see like they have a feeling like, okay, like my son is doing these things now that I don't know about, so maybe like I'm scared he's not gonna be successful. I'm not making enough money,
Yeah,
whatever.
well, so I think sometimes like the parents, they know a route that is successful. You know, they know, oh, take this job, work at the family business, do this thing, because they know it just works.
Yeah.
You know, so like for them to see someone not go in that lane, it's frustrating because it's like, we know this lane works, do this path.
Yeah, I don't think there's any. They're not doing it with ill intentions.
No, they're doing it with good intentions, but at the same time, they maybe didn't know that path either.
Yeah,
You know,
they
like
just
like they didn't know their path,
The risks.
and then they took their risks to do what's best for them and their circumstances.
Yeah, like
You
the
know?
whole thing of I think what was it, like a grasshopper in a bottle or something like that, or like that. Well, the specific, or a fly in a bottle or a fly in a jar, where it's like it only knows the cap, like it only thinks that's how far as it go. You let it out, it's only going to jump so high, you know.
Right.
And that's only because it only knows this specific reach, you know. If you limit yourself to this amount of thinking, you're not going to be able to explore and actually understand. Of course, parents can be like, okay, so this worked, so you do this. But how about we go, okay, this worked, yeah, sure, this worked, but how can we not expand and do this now? Because we know this works. So if anything happens, we know this works. So can we just go explore this? No,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have to stay
yeah,
here.
yeah.
No. Can we just no, stay here? We know this, but we can't know. Like that's literally how majority of like arguments are with parents.
That's actually so relatable, man. Or like, me and my brother especially have been going through this, and like, it's even like things where they just don't trust you to do stuff, like just because they think that like, oh no, we've been doing it a certain way, like why would we have, you know, young people take this over? But you got to give responsibility to the next generation sometimes.
Exactly.
Me and my brother are thinking of opening a business next summer, and it was run by one of our family members. And at first there's so much like pushback because they're about to retire and they
Yeah.
don't want to like do it anymore. But we were saying like, let us take it over. You know, we've worked there a few times, like we can do it, right?
Yeah.
But like there's so much pushback. You can't do it, you can't do it. But I'm like, don't judge your 75-year-old mentality on my 20-year-old mentality. I've seen the world in a different way than you. Like you sure know it all, but like, you know, I'm younger. I got energy. I got vision. I got marketing skills. I got all these things I can offer that maybe you just don't even understand, right?
Exactly.
And like that's, I think, another thing is, you know, the parents don't understand what we can offer.
Yeah.
You know?
They think like, I don't know, they think you're still like 5 years old or something.
Yeah, I don't
like
know
that's what it is.
It's
Yeah.
But
because
like they started it probably at 15
Yeah.
or something.
Oh,
like,
dude,
that's
it was
the
like it
thing,
was
right?
earlier. Yeah, it's
Yes.
weird. Like, and it's almost like funny because-
Nowadays, 20
Yeah.
is too young to do these things. Like, it's,
No, see that that
crazy.
right there. See, they still see you as one particular age. They
Yeah.
they find throughout your entire life, your parents are going to find that one age that they love the most about you.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
the age that you
They
were
wanna
like
keep you there.
perfected in their minds, and they'll keep you right there. They
Yeah.
look at you and they only see you as that age. They only see you there. No matter if you literally have like a full house of kids, like you have kids, a whole family, a job, everything. They'll still see you as that 5-year-old. And they'll
Yeah,
still be like,
yeah.
oh, you're just still my little baby. I'm like, okay, yes, I am forever. All right, in your mind, but I'm not. You have to understand, I'm still not, you know? And it's because parents have that fear of missing out, you know? To close off what you were saying earlier. They have that fear of missing out, the older generation. So they feel like if they pass it on to you and you do something far more successful than them, they won't be able to experience that. So they have that fear of like, oh, but what if they actually do go off and they do expand it and it does go bigger, you know, and it does get better, you know? It's because like, wait, what if we have not been able to see that, but relinquish that fear? Just experience what you can and let go of what you can't.
Yeah. And it could also be a fear of maybe like they're scared, oh, my child's gonna like be very successful and then maybe like forget about me or like not
Yes.
like maybe that too. Like
It
and
is.
but that's why it's also important. Like if our parents, you know, if they support you from the start and you become successful, you know, be appreciative and you'll still talk to your parents. There's people who maybe like they move to a different country, for example, like a lot of the social media stuff when people blow up, they move to a different country and maybe some people never even call their parents or like, you know, or don't help them up financially if they need it after when you have more money than them or something, right? So maybe that could be a fear as well. But you know, it's very important. And it's if your parents did support you, if you become successful, to always, you know, go back to them, and talk to them, and everything like
Exactly.
that. Yeah, so that could be also a little bit of fear they have. But yeah, I know. Like if I had a kid, I'd want them to be successful, and I'd teach them things I know, and you know, and let them explore their own things as well. But then I think we also need. This is an idea. We get a parent on the podcast now to talk about shit on their perspective.
See,
and
now
stuff.
see exactly because it opens because you're opening up a conversation, like a healthy conversation. Like, what if what your idea of what a parent should be like isn't actually true?
yeah.
Because parents need to forget that it's not them now taking a child and creating a child. It's about like continuing on their line. Like that's what it really is at the end of the day. And like you have to like relinquish your ego in that aspect, you know, humble yourself and be like, give your child the room to grow, but give them the fundamentals to succeed, you know? Like tell them exactly what you've learned, you know, the things that you've figured out that work, things that you figure out that doesn't work, you know, and they can go. It doesn't mean that they have to just listen to that and only do what you say. It's for them to figure out for themselves. Like, okay, so that's how that happened. Now let me see where I can go. Because you're both your mother and your father. You're going to have both sides. So regardless, even the parent cannot expect you to be only them, that one singular parent. You're two perspectives, two consciousness mixed into one. So you cannot expect one thing to happen all the time. So like, that's why I really feel like parents and just like basically anybody of older age just needs to humble themselves and understand that the new generation isn't here to destroy the planet, but to continue to make it flourish, you know? But yeah.
Yeah, like I said, like the social media stuff is all new, for example. Like they didn't grow up with this stuff, so that's why like they see it as like, oh, you're crazy. But then no, like we're born in this generation. We've seen it worked for other people, so that's why we kind of know like this has a future. Like this is
Exactly.
basically the future. Like if you don't
Exactly.
get into the social media, you know, this whole metaverse stuff, like, you know, then you're gonna be the
Metaverse.
whatever. Like, you know.
Gotta get into the metaverse.
Like, yeah.
Mom, okay, I'm in the metaverse. Leave me alone. That's gonna be like in 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it happened with them too.
Yeah.
Right? It just keeps going. Like, just things keep evolving.
Yeah.
They had shit that was like the metaverse for them. You know?
But it has to stop with one generation. It only takes one generation to break it all off.
It's like the Kendrick Lamar album.
Exactly.
I heard that. Yeah, it's all about like kind
Also,
of.
since like literally coming down here, because
Oh,
I had to like refresh myself because I was really thinking, I'm like, people really took Kendrick's album. Like a lot of people loved it and a lot of people hated it. The people that hated it only wanted him to keep doing that one thing. And I realized that like success isn't just this one particular lane. It can be so many different things. Because he made all of his previous albums, he was touching on his place in the world and his place as a black person in the world, right? This album, he's touching on his place in the world regarding to his family life and how he's been trying to cope with all these, everything that's been going on in his life, you know? And people didn't want to take that as like an actual good album because they're like, oh my God, why is he telling us about how life actually works? I don't want to hear about that. I want to stay in this fantasy land. No, how about I tell you the real? Like, how about we first become united in grief? Literally the first track. How about we first unite in grief? And now let's go on. A lot of people become that big stepper and try to dance around the conversation until you just realize, okay, I can dance forever, or I can realize, let me stop and actually just tell you what's going on. Because it's going to keep going. Because he could have made another dam if he really wanted to. You know, he could have just took the extra time, another 4 or 5 years, and make another dam. Or he can make something that is going to change himself, you know? Because he's helped other people, but he realized he wasn't helping himself. That's why at the last track, it's like, I choose me. I'm sorry, man. Like, I don't want to keep doing this for other people. I want to do this for me, you know? And hence why he left the label and everything, and he started PG Lang. He's on him for himself now. And that's, I'm like, I fuck hard with that shit. That's some real shit. Like, that's some real nigga shit, you know? Yeah. Like, that's what you really should be doing, is focusing on you. But yeah, man.
It ties back to that whole authenticity stuff, right? Like, he was, you know, being his authentic self, describing his traumas and stuff like that, and, you know, figuring out what he's got to do truthfully, not trying to tap dance around stuff, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's cool how it kind of like all tied back together, this conversation, right? We were talking about that before.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was cool. It was a cool combo.
And what about, so just before, because I know you have to go, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So we can end it here soon, a couple minutes.
Yeah, whatever.
So I just want to like not keep going on now, even deeper, because we're gonna be here for hours. But I think we touched on a lot.
Yeah.
So I want to wrap it up with going back to blending, everything. Anything else that you're doing
Yeah, so I just
that
started.
you want to talk about?
Yeah, I just started my production company called Talavon.
That as well, yes.
Yes, it's Talavon. The name is Talent and Kavan, my middle name and my nickname, obviously. And I started it back in high school, technically, back in grade 11, but it was originally called Imperfections. And basically, like, for me, basically, it's a super quick rundown because I know we don't got a lot of time. Like, in high school and in elementary school and stuff, because I'm always like, I love just creating and not being like so in tune of like just the worker mentality. I was always seen as like the special kid. So they literally put me in those programs and stuff. And I realized like after a couple of years, because at first I fell into their game and thinking like, oh yeah, this is me. This is all I can really be. And then I realized, I think it was in grade 9. Yeah, this ain't it for me. There's more I can do. There's more I can experience, you know? And then basically, when I started making more films, I started realizing, wait, I'm more than what these people keep thinking I am. And then that's when I started to actually start showing people who I truly was. And then I got out of all the programs that they put me in, and I started to apply myself, and I started to flourish, and I started winning awards and all that stuff. And then I created Imperfections, not perfect, just different, to show that like you don't have to be this perfect image in society's eyes. You can be whoever you want to be, you know? And then that changed into, then at the same time I made that, I added As Proclaimed at the beginning of, like, under all my titles. So then like, As Proclaimed by DeAndre K. Simon. That was my original saying, because it was kind of like saying, this is me, all right? You're getting me, all right? It doesn't matter if this is somebody else's project or if this is somebody else's music or vision or anything. This is what I'm showing you, a feeling that I'm bringing to it, all right? So that's why I put the As Proclaimed, as in like, this is like what I'm trying to show you guys, you know? And then I created As Proclaimed Productions after that. And then after that, that was about like last year, I realized, As for Clean Productions ain't a good title. So I realized, so then I took because I created the title Talavon back in same time I created Imperfections. And I was like, you know what? I love this title more than everything else because this is me. And beyond it being just me, it can be anybody. Because Talavon is basically like the whole slogan is where dreams become reality, It's because it can be whatever you want it to be. I leave it open enough where you can actually create any avenue you want. You can create new genres, You can create subgenres, collections, anything you really want to create because you're allowed to create whatever you want to create. You don't have to just think, okay, workerman's mentality, stay this one lane. No, break free and do whatever you want. You have the creativity, you have the ability, So that's what Talavon is, and that's basically what I started, And the GoFundMe is up now too.
Like you want it to be like a production company? Is that,
It is my whole goal for Talavon is for it to become a city, man. Become the new Hollywood, literally.
Okay.
I want it to become a massive thing. So like that's why it's not really categorized as just like
Right.
That's why I don't call it Talavon Productions. I call it just straight Talavon, because it's literally a lifestyle, a concept, a mentality. That's why I want it to be like, if hey, you want to come to Talavon, you want to create, go. That's what Hollywood used to be. You go to Hollywood to make your dreams come true. But it changed to this like, okay, you go to Hollywood, okay, maybe we'll think about you, maybe not. And it's like, so am I here to explore or am I here just to work? And then the workman mentality comes back in again. So that's why I'm like, I want to create a place where no matter what era we're in, we always stay true to ourselves. And that's what Talavon is. GoFundMe is up now, www.talavon.com, or go GoFundMe Talavon. I think that's how it works on GoFundMe, but yeah.
We'll put the link in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll put the link. Yeah.
All his links and stuff will be linked down below, obviously, in the description.
And then you got blending.
Yes, blending the motion picture. The trailer's out now on YouTube. We'll put the links for that as well as the tickets are on sale at www.talavon.com.
The link in the bio.
All right,
Yeah.
links
That's
in the
gonna be
bio.
August 26th, you said?
Yes, August 26th. You can buy your tickets now.
Perfect.
I'm excited
Awesome,
to
dude.
see
We're
that.
excited. We're very excited.
I want to
maybe
see
we'll
really
make our way
how
out.
how you made it all one big thing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, we'll definitely be
it's
there to
amazing,
check it
man.
out. That'll be cool. I want to see it now that we have that kind of lens on it. It would be really cool
Yeah.
to see it.
And that's also why I wanted to make it I made it dual genres or two genres, comedy and horror, for that specific reason, because it's like you think it's all fun and games until shit gets serious,
yeah.
And that's like life. So I'm excited for everyone to see it, man.
We appreciate you coming on, man. We had some great talks for sure. Guys, get your parents to watch this episode.
No, this is good for
Thank you for having
parents.
me.
This is good for anyone, a creative filmmaker. Anyone can definitely learn something from this episode.
Definitely get some
Really cool.
motivation from it. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, check us out on all platforms. Unmastered Podcast. We're on YouTube. We're on TikTok. We're on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, everything that you could listen to a podcast on. We're on. It's like the Gary Vee content model. But yeah, okay. Well, honestly, thank you so much for coming on, man. Like, it's been great. Like,
Yes,
great
thank
talking to you.
No, thank you guys for having me,
It,
honestly.
it was
For
awesome,
sure.
dude. Like, definitely changed my perspective. Gives me like inspiration to kind of look at my work in a different way. So I learned a lot from this episode. Really
That's
cool.
what I want. That's my whole meaning of life. Is just to share what I've learned, so
Yeah.
everyone else can be like, "Yo, I like that."
Yeah, hell
know?
yeah, dude.
So-
Yeah,
There you
that's
go.
great. I'm glad people are
awesome.
going to be able to see, who you are, hopefully with the clips and stuff, like those start to do well and, people get to hear your story more. Like,
Yeah.
that'd be cool.
Hope so as well.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Thank you guys, Unmastered Bastards. Thank you for
Yeah,
watching.
see you guys on Mastered
We'll
Podcast.
see ya
See you
in
guys
the
next
next episode.
See you guys.
Peace.
Peace.